Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. So the Shishya asked, "Hey Guru, if I negate everything, all the 5 koshas, all the 3 bodies, and if I give up all the equipment of knowledge, then I see nothing. You say there is something called as Atma, the self, but I don't see anything." So this is the question from his intellectual standpoint. So please explain to me, what do you mean by negating everything? Then Guru said, no. There is something because of which everything else is known. Everything else is experienced. But by those equipments, this cannot be experienced. So after negating it, there is something which is Atma, the self. It is not Shunyam. Because how do you know the Shunyam? So the Shunyam also should be illumined. Then only you know it. So there is something to illuminate the Shunyam also. Na? So as long as there are experiences, objects, emotions and thoughts, the Paramatma only as a reflected consciousness is illuminating everything. When there is nothing, it reflects, it illuminates itself. Sakshi. And it is known by itself. Swayam Jyotihi it is. So therefore there is the awareness, pure consciousness, which illuminates everything, is there even if all the objects, emotions, thoughts, all the experiences are gone. Even then the awareness by itself is, it is no more awareness of something, it is awareness by itself. So that awareness is your own true self. So how do you know this awareness? If you stop being aware of something for some time, if you stop being aware of something, because now always we are aware of, conscious of this, that, something. Enough of aware of something. Now just be aware. Let all the things come and go. Then when everything subsides, what remains is awareness. And that awareness you need not know. Because awareness is the nature of the knowledge. Like the sunlight is known by itself. Nobody needs a torch to see the sun. Similarly, the awareness is known by itself. How simple it is, no? Very simple actually. Instead of being aware of, just be aware. Then aware of nothing, see? Aware of not nothing, aware. Just be aware. Whether there is something or nothing, that is not your business. Just be aware. See, this is the message from our great rishis. So Adi Shankara explains the self further in the verse 217, which we have seen, but still we will see it again. Jagrat swapna sushuptishu sputataram. So you people don't have books? Okay. So why can't you? Okay, we will do something about it. Yosau samrujrumbhate pratyagrupataya sadahamahamat ahamaham ityantaspuranne kadha nanakara vikara bhagina iman pashyannaham dhimukhan nityananda chidhatmana spuratitam Vidhi swametam hrudi. So Jagrat Swapna Sushuptishu, in all the 3 avasthas, 3 states, Sputataram, very clearly, yaha asau samrujjumbate, one who clearly manifests. Otherwise, how he is? Pratyagrupataya sada aham ahamiti. He is always shining as I in the heart, in all the avasthas. Antaspuran ekadha, as oneself. See, in the Chinmaya Mission publication, it was Naikada. In my publication, in my book, it was Naikada. Meaning what? Na ekada, it means then. So it is actually denying. That is not the right reading. Reading is nekada. Naila ne. So it will be split as ekada. So as oneself, he is shining in the heart as I in all the states of consciousness. So in the waking, what he does? Nanakara vikara bhagya yaman pashyannaham dimukan. He only is aware of all the modifications of the mind and intellect, and aware of all the objects and emotions and thoughts in all these states and also their absence. How? Dhimukan. Dhimukan means what? By becoming that ego self. But in the deep sleep it is not so. It is a complete absence of anything, everything. And he just eliminates that. That is only, they say, the sukshma ajnana vritti. That is a different thing. But he only shines everything in the waking and dream. All the modifications. Dhimukan, by becoming what? Aham di. By becoming the reflected consciousness. He illuminates everything in the waking and dream. And how is he? Nityananda chidatmana sfurati. He always shines as what? Sfurati means shines as what? Nityananda. Means all blissful, ever blissful, chidatmana, and all knowing self. Tam viddhiswam etam hridi. That you have to know in your own heart as your own self. So there is no avastha where he was not. In the waking also he is, dream also he is, deep sleep also he is. Without him there is no elimination. In the waking and dream, he illumines all the presence. In the deep sleep, the absence. By reflecting in the mind intellect, Chit-chaya is illuminating all the objects. And in the dream, the absence is illumined by him only. So that is the self which is always shining as Anandam. Why Anandam? Because there is nothing to condition him, limit him. See, generally also, let us say in your house, your parents, Amma, Pa, they are not very controlling, let us say. You feel little happy now. Is that not so? If they put a lot of conditions, you have to come back at this time, you should not do this, you should do this. Whenever there is a conditioning, there is always some sort of, a sort of uneasiness. So this is a state where there is no conditioning, there is no limitation, there is nobody to bind, nothing to bind. So it's Ananda Sthiti, and also it is the all-knowing self. So that you have to realize in your own heart as the Atma. So now, moving on, a very interesting concept is taken. It's a very beautiful concept. You will enjoy it. The intelligent people will enjoy this actually. So this concept, if you understand, you will understand what is the Paramatma and how is he expressing in the Jagrata and Swapna and all. And in the deep sleep also, that is a different matter. We will handle it differently. Okay, so now we will see. Ghatodake bimbitamarka bimbam Alokya mudho ravimeva manyate Tatha chidabha samupadi samstham भ्रान्त्याहमित्येव जडोऽभिमन्यते इत्येव जडोऽभिमन्यते घट उदके बिंबितम अर्कबिंबम आलोक्य मूढ़ः रविमेव मन्यते. See, if you know Sanskrit, just if you read it, you will know what it is. Ghata udake, there is a pot, ghatam. Ghatam means there is a pot, mud pot or whatever pot. Udakam means the water. So the water is there in the pot. So in the water, in the pot, bimbitam arka bimba. So there is the reflection of the sun. Arka means sun. Arka bimbam, the reflection is seen in the water. All okay, having seen that, Mudaha, what the dull-witted one thinks, Mudaha means dull-witted one thinks, Ravi Meva, this is the Ravi, this is the sun, he thinks. Yeah, it is also round. It is bright. So this is the sun, he thinks. How foolish he is. Can you ever compare the reflection which is in the water of the pot to the sun? Sun is what? What a effulgence, right? And he illumines the whole world. And his reflection is caught in a little bit of water in the pot. Though it a little bit resembles, little bit. But if you take that to be sun, what a shame. What a sin. Similarly, tatha chidabhasam upadhi samstam, that reflected consciousness which is expressing through the upadhi called as the buddhi, bhrantya ahamityeva jadaha abhimanyate, out of delusion, this dull-witted one, jadaha means dull-witted one, ahamityeva abhimanyate, he thinks this I am. Actually, that reflected consciousness expressing through the Vijnanamaya Kosha is the Jiva. Jiva means what? Is just this personality, ego self. That can never be the self of all. It is expressing only through this limited equipment. The same Paramatma only is expressing actually. In this limited equipment, as this life or as this Jiva, this personality, is ego self. But the dull-witted one feels, this is me, I am this, out of delusion, Brahma. He considers, oh, this is me. It is not him. Where this ahankara ends, merges, that like samudram, that ocean, that consciousness, that self, which is self of all, which is the consciousness functioning through all, which is substratum of all, that is my real self. Actually, the sun is shining up in the sky, brilliant, effulgent, and he is illuminating everything in the world. But this fool, he thinks, only that is reflected in the water as the sun. And that also can reflect a little. He thinks that is everything. We can appreciate he is a fool. But we are also doing the same. Instead of knowing what our true self, which is self of all, which is substratum of the whole universe, we take this self reflected in the buddhi and expressing as I, ego self, as me. And then we are very proud of our possessions, very proud of our achievements, accomplishments, and we want to project ourselves as something unique, as buddhisali, intelligent, smart, beautiful, all those stuff. But this is only a reflection which is false. The true self is where? It is just behind it. The true self. When you abide there, oh glorious it is. But instead, out of delusion, manamayakam, we think this is me. This body mind, this form is me. And the personality expressing is me, we think. Is it not so? And we think this is body, me. So you go to gym, See, going to gym is not anything wrong. You go there and you think you are this, and you show and you see in the mirror every day. You see your biceps, this, that, and fellows, the young fellows, they wear t-shirt only here because they want everybody to see their biceps. Like this, they walk like Erma Madu. Whatever. Don't compare Ramana, please. Opposite. I am talking something else. Yeah, okay, opposite also. You should not bring in Ramana now. So what a sad thing, And you know what? That fellow, howsoever he is very stout and everything, for some time only now, the nature catches up with his everything. And then sometime if he doesn't go to the gym, sometime he doesn't, exercise, then where he can show, then he will cover everything with the full arm shirt and with the talai kola because bald has gone. Everything he covers. So, so we are very proud of our physical form. But we are not this. Nothing happens to us. Whenever the body also changes, the mind also has a happy or miserable. Nothing happens to us. So that is the truth. So this is what we have to understand. The real sun is something else, and whatever is appearing in the pot is something else. You cannot compare it. Similarly, that which is expressing as the ego self, this personality, is very cheap, is very, very unreal. But what is the real self? Like the sun means what? Something wonderful. You cannot compare it at all. And that infinite experience, that anandam, that is nowhere to be seen in this personality. He is, because limited, always miserable. He is dependent on so many in the world outside for his happiness. Is it not so? He feels lonely, deserted, all those stuff. But actually he is Paramananda Swarupam. This is what our teachers teach us. So the choice is yours. Whether to identify with this personality and suffer for the whole life, and then again and again take the same birth and same sort of thing, or to identify with the true self and be free. This choice is ours. But it is everybody's self. That is the beauty of it. Even a person born blind, or a lame person, or a mentally affected person, everybody's self is the same self. See? Whether it is an animal or it is a bird. So this Ananda Swarupam is the self of all. So there is no sinner or saint. So in sinner, the self doesn't exist. No, sinner also is a self only. Saint is also the self only. Criminal also. So this self is everybody's, and it is Anandam. So the Lord is waiting in the heart for you to turn within and come to Him. He is waiting. Ena kena prakarena, if you turn within and go to Him, He is waiting. But out of our foolishness, if we think we are everything, and we are doing, we are enjoying, we want to wield power, then what God says, okay, I will wait some more. See, sometimes we may appear to be serious, but not. We may appear to be seekers, but not. A true seeker means he should not indulge in anything else except the seeking of the self. No worldly vyavahara, no, other things, So if you are involved in so many other things, then the intensity is not there. The seeking is not very intense. Okay. Now, Gatam jalam tad gatamam gatamarka bimbam Vihaya sarvam vinirikshaterkaha Tatastayeta tritayavabhasakaha Swayam prakasho vidusha yatha tatha Ghatam jhalam tad ghatamarka bimbam Vihaya sarvam vinirikshaterkaha Tatastayeta tritayavabhasakaha Swayam prakasho vidusha yatha tatha. Okay, now somebody wants to see the sun. Then how can you help that person? See, he has confused himself and he is seeing only the bimbam, the reflected sun in the pot, in the water. And he says, this is the sun, this is the sun. Then how will you show him the sun? How will you make him to see the sun? Then you say, you are seeing the pot in a pot? Yes. You are seeing the jalam inside in a jalam? Yes. You are seeing the reflection inside in a? Yes. Vihaya sarvam. Now just don't think about the pot. Just don't think about the waters. Even don't think about the reflection. It is not all these things. Then now you shift your attention. You take your attention or your vision from here. Vinirikshyate endopar melapar. See, that is the sun. Arkaha. That is the real sun. That is what you say, na? So you tell him, Vihaya sarvam. You give up the idea of this is the sun. Ghatam, this is not the sun. Give up the idea this is the sun. Give up the idea the water is the sun. It is not the water also. It is not the bimba also. You just lift your vision now. See, that is the sun. So don't think the body is a self. Don't think the mind is a self. Don't think the jiva or the ahankar who is reflected in the mind as the real Atma. That which shines, that which illuminates all these things. And by itself, which is Swayam Jyotihi, that is the Paramatma. How beautiful. Tatastha etatriya avabhasaka. Etatriya means what? All these three. What are the three here? The body, that is the ghata like body, and the mind, the waters in the ghata, that is the mind, and the pratibimba, the reflection, that is the sun's reflection, like sun's reflection, jiva. So that which illuminates all these three. Etat tritaya avabhasakaha. One who illuminates all these three. Tatastha. Tatastha means what I told you, tatastha lakshana. So through the known you are taken to the unknown. So whichever is available for you to perceive is there, na? What is there available for your perception? The ghata, the body, jala, the mind, and the bimba, the jiva, or me, I am, the personality. So which one illuminates all these three? Etat tritaya avabhasakaha, swayam prakashaha, which is self-effulgent, that is the self. So vidusha yata tata, that is how the wise man should understand about his self. What a beautiful analogy. Real analogy this is. So in this, what is the pot? Body. What is the jala? The mind. The medium in which the reflection can happen. Mind means what? Mind, buddhi, everything is included there. And what is the pratibimba? The reflected consciousness. Atma, Chaitanya reflected in the antakarana. So all these three are not the self. Sometimes we confuse ourselves with the body and we take this is the self. And sometimes we confuse with the personality, which is expressing as this is the self. No. That which illuminates all, because of which you know everything. But it can never be known through any other means, which is Swayam Jyotihi, known by itself. That is the true self. How beautiful. Is there any doubt? There can never be any doubt. Is that not so? Very clear, sputam, very clear. But why do we lead a miserable life? We think this personality to be the self. So people sometimes comment on this personality. Hey, you are wonderful. You are very intelligent. You have accomplished so much. Then we feel very elated. Some other people come and find some fault with you. Though everything you have got, but still, you are very selfish, very arrogant. You are very bossy. You are very nosy. Some people are very bossy and nosy. Bossy means what? They want everything under their control. Nosy means what? They want to know everything. They put their nose everywhere. It is none of their business, but still they put their nose there. Even though you remind them, it is none of your business, but still they put their nose. So nosy and bossy, some people come and tell you, you are not what you think, You are nosy and bossy, and you are not that good. Is that so? Yes. You feel sad. Sometimes you feel mad at people. So this is all the expression of the personality. I am not all these things. I am the pure self. So if somebody criticizes you, you should also join the tamasha, join the orchestra. Because this self is unreal. It has to be condemned only. So you are the pure self. Nobody can condemn the pure self. Why? It is without any guna, kriya, nothing. What you can condemn? If they condemn, they are condemning their own self. Because self is the self of all. So if you condemn the pure self, they are actually condemning their own self only. And it cannot be condemned because there is no guna and kriya. There is no expression as such to condemn. There is no activity to condemn. See, what we condemn in a person, his guna, his nature is not that good, we say. Or his actions are not very good. Meaning it is creating disharmony. It is not harmonious. That's what we find fault with the guna or kriya of anybody. But this Atma has no guna, no kriya, and nothing of that sort. He is not available for the senses to see, to criticize, not available for the mind to appreciate. So this Atma, the self, cannot be condemned or criticized. Only the personality can be condemned. The personality is anyway false. But we think the personality is me, and how dare you say that, and we get offended, and we fight, and we are miserable. We expect everybody to love us, but we find ourselves to be human repellent. Everybody runs away seeing us. So, when you accept yourself as a personality and lead your life as this personality, there is always struggle. There is always problem, miseries, sorrow. Everybody is happy. Everybody has got everything. Why I didn't get? That is your prarabdha. Oh, why prarabdha for me? Why me? Why me? We cry, na? This me is false. Give it up. What is the truth? The self, which is Ananda, never changing, never perishing, not conditioned by anything, pure, niranjanaha, pure, that is yourself. There is nothing other than the self. There is nobody to criticize, nobody to be criticized. Ekameva advitiya. It is one without the second. So that you are, that glorious you are, and stupidly you identify with something ridiculous. And then you come down so much and then suffer here. Unnecessarily we suffer here. So this is what said. So what is the real self? Etat tritaya avabhasakaha. All these three things we said, na? Body, the mind and the jiva. Jiva means I, plus personality. All these three are eliminated by the self. All these things are known or not. I know my body, its conditions. I know my mind, its continuous churning. I know myself also, the personality, how I am expressing my motives, everything I know. So that which is knowing everything, of the nature of knowledge, that light which illuminates everything, he is the self. Once again, when I say light, it is not the ordinary light. It is the knowledge which illuminates everything, which makes everything known to you. So that is what we have to understand. Moving on. Deham diyam chit pratibimbamevam visrujya buddhau nihitam guhayam drashtaram akanda bodham sarva prakasham sadasadvilakshanam deham dhiyam chit pratibimbamevam visrujya buddhau nihitam guhayam drashtaram akanda bodham sarva prakasham sadasadvilakshanam. So how to know the self, or how to abide in the self? What is the way? Here Adi Shankara says the same thing Bhagavan also says. See what he says? Deham diyam chit pratibimbam evam visrujya. Having given up the deham, the body identification, body is me idea. Diyam, the buddhi and its sanchala or its modification. Chit pratibimbam, the I thought expressing in the buddhi. I, that is this personality, I. Giving up all these three, buddhau nihitam guhayam. In the intellectual sheath, vijnanamaya kosha, nihitam guhayam, deep recesses of the intellectual sheath, in the guha, in the cave, drashtaram, the real seer of all, the real seer, atmanam, the self, akhanda bodham, unbroken, beginningless, endless, that knowledge, that pure consciousness, sarva prakasham, fully effulgent, sadasad vilakshanam, which is beyond the gross and subtle, that is always shining. See? So, yesterday or day before yesterday we saw this Atma can be known only going into the cave of the heart. Heart means the Vijnanamaya Kosha. There only it is expressing as I, as Aham Vritti. So that is the way to go back, retrace the path. So it is not available in the body, just give up. And it is not available in the mind also. Then that is the Pradibimbam, that is the Aham Vritti. Then you should go within. Who am I? From where I is rising? Bhagavan says, no. Like that, if you retrace the path, so there, where all the thoughts rise, where the I thought rise, there the source, the Adharam, there he shines as ever effulgent, Swayam Sarva Prakasham, and Drashtaram Atmanam Akanda Bodham, as the Purna, as the infinite knowledge, without any division between the knower and the known. Akhanda means, you know what? Akhanda means there is no break, it is not divided. See, now the consciousness is divided. How? I and versus the rest. நான் என்னை காட்டிலும் அந்நியமான இந்த உலகம். That is how the consciousness is broken now. Akhanda means not broken. How it is not broken? There is no idea of I versus the rest. There is only I. There is only one. So, Akhanda Bodhama adu irukku ulla. Anandama irukadu. Sarva Prakasham, illuminating everything. And Sadasad Vilaksham. It is not the gross, it is not subtle. It is beyond. Gross means whatever we see in the world outside. Subtle means whatever we feel in the heart. It is beyond. So, only one term can define it. That is beyond. Beyond, beyond. So, but it is not difficult. I tell you. When you are sincere, when you know the knack, and when you follow the instructions clearly, but you have to sincerely try. It is not difficult. It is a question of application. See, first of all, our minds are so clouded with so many things. Then how can we pursue this? Unclutter the mind. Quieten the mind. Be one-pointed. What is the one-pointedness? Now, my mission is to know or abide in the self. Other things can wait. Because this is the thing. So with this attitude, when you retrace the path, not worried about any other thoughts about the body or mind, about the world, even about God, about the different philosophies, you give up all these things. And then just focus the attention. Who am I? I means it's expressing as I, na? So if you see where from it is expressing, what is this I? Then what happens? The I, the reflection, merges with the original. Meaning the reflection perishes, vanishes, and the truth is revealed. See, when you break the pot, what happens? In the example, pot, the jala, and the reflection of the sun. If you break the pot, what happens? The water goes. And what happens to the bimbam? Bimbam goes back to the sun. Bimbam goes and merges with the sun. No. Bimbam just vanishes. And your attention is on the sun means you see the sun. Similarly, when you focus the attention on the pratibimbam, that is the reflected consciousness, that is I, what happens? There is no. What reveals? The real self. Aham aham taya spurati hrutsvayam. There you are. In the blazing light of that, nothing else is seen. Only the self. So this is what has to be done. So nihitam guhayam, he is seated in the deep recesses of the cave of the heart. What is he? Drishtaram. He is a seer of everything, everybody. In fact, he is a real seer, Drishtaram. Atmanam, he is the self of all. Akhanda bodham. அது பிளவுபட்ட உணர்வு நிலை இல்லை, பிளவுபடாத உணர்வு நிலை. அங்கே பிளவே கிடையாது. இப்போ நமக்குள்ளே எவ்வளவோ பிளவு இருக்குது தானே, ஆனால் அங்கே பிளவே கிடையாது. பிளவுபடாத உணர்வு நிலை. ஸோ தேர் இஸ் அகண்ட போதம், சர்வ பிரகாஷம், சத் அசத் விலக்ஷணம். ஓகே, மூவிங் ஆன். நித்யம் விபும் சர்வகதம் சுசூக்ஷ்மம் அந்தர்பஹிஷூன்யம் அனன்யமாத்மனஹ விஜ்ஞாய சம்யக் நிஜரூபமேதத் புமான் விபாப்மா விரஜோ விம்ருத்யுஹு. நித்யம் விபும் சர்வகதம் சுசூக்ஷ்மம் அந்தர்பஹிஷூன்யம் அனன்யமாத்மனஹ விஜ்ஞாய சம்யக் நிஜரூபமேதத் புமான் விபாப்மா விரஜோ விம்ருத்யுஹு. How is that self? That pure self, true self, what it is, how is it? Nityam, eternal, ever present. There is no time where it is not, when it is not. Always present, everywhere. Nityam, eternal. Vibhum, sarvagatam, meaning all pervading. Meaning there is no place where he is not. all pervading, sarvaghatam, vibhum, that is the same meaning only. All pervading, vibhum, susukshmam. He is very, very subtle. That is the problem. If it is little gross, we can understand. He is susukshmam. Sukshma means subtle. Susukshmam, subtler than the subtlest. See, whatever we know, the subtlest is the akasham, the space. He is subtler than the akasham. Susukshmam, very, very subtle. And antar bahishunyam. See how, what a beautiful expression. There is nothing called as in or out in him. You cannot locate him inside or outside. Antar bahishunyam. Why? Because only when you consider this body, you can say andar or bahir. See, only when you consider the walls of this hall, walls, you say outer or inner. So some conditioning or some, this thing you refer and then you say in or out. So in the self, there is nothing other than it. So therefore you cannot say in or out. Antar bahishunyam. You cannot say it is in or out. All the idea of antar, bahir, etc. falls flat in the self. See, initially it is inside, inside, inside. When you go inside, you find there is nothing inside or outside. There is only one. Whatever we thought as outside is only manabhrama. Whatever we thought as other is only a delusion. It is only one self, without inside or outside, without beginning or end. Ananyam atmanaha, and that is not something different from the true self. Ananyam, it is identified with the self. It can be realized or appreciated only as a self, not as anyam. See? That is why I say you cannot appreciate him or realize him as the third person. However, the third person may be great. Lord Shiva or Narayana, Ambal. If you think that God is sitting somewhere with a name and form, wielding power, how will you realize him? Means you can only see him. No? Whatever you see is not the truth. Whatever appears, disappears. Then that is not the truth. Okay, he can come in any form. See, the same Paramatma can take any form because he is all powerful. Who can stop him? If the Paramatma decides, who can stop him? In fact, all the forms are his forms only. But that is not the God realization or self realization. That is not the perfect abidance or perfect knowledge. So, whoever it may be, whatever it may be, only when it comes to the self, that can be known even if you transcend all the faulty equipments. Only our own existence you can realize or you can know even without any equipment of knowledge. Other things and all, some equipment is required now. Faulty equipment only you are using. Eyes are required to see, or mind is required to imagine. All these instruments are faulty, limited. When you drop all the instruments, what can be apprehended is only the self. Why? நான் இருக்கிறேன் உணர்வுக்கு எதுவுமே தேவையில்லை. It's self-evident, obvious. Like the fruit in the hand. It's very obvious, evident. So you don't need any external equipments to know it. It is self-evident. So therefore, you cannot know this self as anything else except one's own self. If somebody tells you they are going to show you some God, tell them thank you, I am happy with my own God. Means with my own self. Our Swamiji who groomed us, he would tell us, see, he was a Kathor Tapasvi, a great Jnani also, Vairagi. He used to tell us, even if God comes when you are meditating, you offer him a seat, decent seat, and you meditate. Let him wait. Wait means let him also sit. So you should respect him, offer him a decent seat, and then you continue with your meditation. That's what he used to say. Meaning what? That which is not, that which is seen in the world is not the true self. So what you realize in your own deep inside you, in the cave of your heart, as I, the real self, not the individual self, the real self is the true self. That is the ultimate, absolute. Purnam, that is the Purnam. So Ananyam Atmanaha means that is what it means. It is not something different from Atma. It is Atma, the self. Therefore it cannot be known as anything else. See, actually, to see with an equipment, there is some strain. Is that not so? Because you are using your equipment, your eyes, and then you are seeing through that, and then you are watching something. There is a strain. Dropping all the equipments, not using any equipment, there is no effort, there is no strain, there is no pain. There you are. In fact, self-abidance or self-knowledge is effortless. There is no pain. There is nothing in it, no strain. In fact, that is the coolest. That is the easiest. No efforts involved. Suhama irkalam thane. ஏந்தான் இப்போ சுகமாக எல்லாம் இப்படி ஆடுறோமோ அல்லாடுறோமோ தெரியல. உண்மையிலே சுகமாக இருக்கலாம். அந்த உள்ளே இருக்கிற புழு எடுக்கக்கூடாது சுகமாக. உள்ளே ஒரு புழு இருக்குது. A worm inside the head. பாலா இப்படி போ, அவன்கிட்ட சொல்லு, அந்த பக்கமாக வந்து அந்த அந்த காட்காரன். He will go on honking till we go. So, Ananyam Atmanaha Vijnaya Samyak Nijarupam etat. Once when you realize this Nijarupam, this true form of that, true form means what? The real self, what happens? Puman Vipapma. That Jivan Mukta Purusha becomes Vipapma, sinless, Virajaha. Rajas means what? Vikshepa Shakti, which projects. No more projection for him. No sin means what? No vasanas for him. No more adhyasa. We have studied adhyasa, na? Superimposition. That is because of Vikshepa Shakti. There is no adhyasa or Vikshepa. Virajaha, Vimrutyuhu. There is no death for him. He becomes immortal because the true self is imperishable, avinashi. So therefore, what he becomes when he knows that self, true self, his own self, he becomes sinless first of all. Meaning no vasanas, no sin. The vasanas only create sin, na? Agitations in the mind and propels us into action. No vasana. And no virajaha, no agitation in the mind. Mind is so quiet now. There is no vikshepa, there is no projection of the mind. Everything has subsided. And vimrutyuhu, he goes beyond death. So how beautiful. So for that what we need to do? We need to do nothing. Stop aware of something. Just be in the awareness. Instead of aware of, conscious of something, consciousness itself is the truth. So when all the objects, emotions and thoughts are removed, what remains is the consciousness. So to know other things you use an equipment, eyes, ears, mind, but know oneself, nothing is used. It is very evident, self-evident. நான்கு உணர்வுக்கு ஏதாவது வேணுமா? Hmm? No, after the lecture you ask. Otherwise, the flow will be disrupted. After the question, definitely you can ask. Hmm? See, in a dark room, if you are placed, in a dark room, if you are there, you are unable to see anything, let us say. Your friend is asking from outside, hey, are you seeing a table there? I'm not seeing a table. Are you seeing that table lamp? No, I'm not seeing anything. Are you there at least? I don't know. Would you ever say? I don't know whether I am there or not because it's all dark. Would you ever say that? Yes, I am, you say. In the darkness, pitch darkness, you don't see anything. But how do you know you are? I know I am. Is it not so? Please think about it. Pitch darkness, nothing you see, you are not using any equipment. But how do you know you are? I know I am. See, this self is very evident, self-evident. You cannot miss it actually. But somehow we are missing it. That is what is called as Maya. You can never miss it, but we are missing it. So only thing what we need to do is to just be in the self always, whatever happens, whatever comes, whatever goes, whatever you gain, whatever you lose, whatever may be the mind's cheshta, sukha or dukkha, whatever happens, if you are just satisfied with yourself, that is all. If you are not satisfied with yourself, whatever you do, you will never be satisfied. Why? Because infinite alone can satisfy you. The finite cannot satisfy. The finite can never ever satisfy us. Only the infinite can satisfy us. Therefore, whatever we may do in the world, we may have to come back to the self, sooner or later. Because the finite can never satisfy us. The people, all through these ages, they have tried their best, indulging in all sorts of pleasures, and wielding so much of power, and building samrajya after samrajya. They were not satisfied. They want to acquire more. They want to possess more. They want to bring everything under their control, more and more only. Acquisition. Still they are not happy. They are not satisfied. Why? The finite, howsoever wonderful, howsoever huge, can never become infinite. And only infinite can satisfy us. Infinite is our self. We are already that. Only thing is we don't know that. And we think that which is expressing in the buddhi as a reflected consciousness is the real consciousness. Like the dull-witted one seeing the reflection of the sun, think this is the sun. We think this is me. No, Baba, lift your vision from the pot, from the waters, from the bimba. There is the sun. So lift your vision from the body, from the mind, from the ego self, and go deep. There is the Atma, the self. So that is what is expressed. Vishoka ananda ghano vipaschit swayam kutaschit na bibheti kaschit na bibheti kaschit nanyosti panta bhava bandha muktehe vina swatattvagamam mumukshoho tattvagamam mumukshoho. Vishoka, there is no shoka, there is no sorrow, there is no moha, there is no delusion. Vishoka. See the tragedy, see the irony. Sita Mata was kept captive. Where? In Ashoka Vana. There she was embodiment of Shoka. How funny it is. That Vana, it is there. Still in Sri Lanka, you can go. Nuvareliya, it is there. It is called the Ashoka Vanam. Ashokavanam is where there is no sorrow. But she was residing in Ashokavanam and was so much sorrow stricken. Embodiment of Shoka. We are also like that. Like Sita Mata. We are actually sitting in the Ashokavanam and always miserable. See the irony. Our true self is Ashoka. There cannot be any sorrow in that. Ananda, it is true nature. But being that, we are very expert in becoming miserable. Defeating our own self. We become very miserable. And we want to commit suicide. Why? I cannot take it anymore. I am utterly miserable. I want to end my life. See? At least now, you have got a body to throw tantrums. If you become a ghost when you commit suicide, you may not have a body also to throw tantrums. And you have to roam around everywhere. And everybody would be very scared of you. Nobody will want near you. Your own close friend may not want. Ayyo, I don't want. Oh, ghost. Bharya bibyati tasmin kaye. Even your own wife will not sit next to you, next to the dead body of the husband. Is that not so? See, the wife is so fond of the husband and they live together for 40, 50 years. Anyonyama. That person is a very kind person, the husband. She knows it. But once when he dies, the dead body remains there. That night she is so scared. She wants somebody to be with her. Are it is your own husband? No. No. Husband has gone. I don't know what it is. Shava. Shiva has gone. It's Shava. So Bharya Bibyati, this body, even the wife is very scared when the life departs. Is that not so? So therefore, this is Ashoka, this true self is without any sorrow. Ananda Ganaha. Ananda Ganaha. It is mass of Ananda only. There is no mixture of anything else. Ananda Gana. Vipaschit Swayam Kutaschinna Bhibeti Kaschit. This wise person who has realized this, anywhere he goes, anywhere he is, with whomsoever it is, there is no fear in him whatsoever. That is what it means. Swayam Kutaschin na bhibeti kaschit. There is no fear in him whatsoever. Why? There is nobody inside. Nothing can happen to him. There is nobody inside. Vatapana. There is nobody inside means, who is scared? Only this fellow who is expressing through the buddhi as an individual self, he is scared. When that fellow is not there, self is anandam, it is all pervading, there is nothing other than the self to be scared. And there is nobody to be scared. Total fearlessness happens only in the Atma Jnana. Atma Jnana vihina mudate pachante naraka nigudaha. When you don't have Atma Jnanam, you are cooked in the hell. Where? Here only in the hell. This becomes the hell. I told you the other day the story, the businessman crying to Gurudev. Gurudev, I am so scared. I may go to hell. I have done so much of sin. Gurudev said, you will never go to hell, my dear. Why? You are always in the hell. You are already in the hell only. When you are so sorrow-stricken, cry and miserable, suicidal, then you need not go to hell. Already you are there. See, one more thing you should also understand. The karma is there, whatever we have done, that has to be exhausted. Nobody can escape. If you suppose commit suicide, let us say, you mean to say that karma will go away? No. That ego, self, the ahankari has done the karma, he has to go through it. Just because he has given up one body, he will not be spared. மயக்கம் போட்டால் விட்டுருவான் நான் போலீஸ்காரன் தெளிய வச்சு அடிப்போம். Even if you become, what unconscious, the police fellow will never leave you. He will make you conscious and then he will beat you. Is that not so? So, he will give you another body. And the body will tell another body. Adi. You cannot escape. You cannot run away anywhere. So, better. எல்லாம் கொஞ்சம் வசதியாக இருக்கும் போதே அனுபவிச்சு எல்லாத்தையும் முடிச்சுட்டு போடுறது நல்லது போடுது. We do not know what else is in store for us. So therefore, there is no shortcut, there is no escape. We have to face everything squarely. We have to. But I tell you, it is not as we imagine. It is not that scary. When you face it squarely, it is not so. Especially when you remember the Lord, hold on to His feet and then face it. It is not as scary as we think. Anything for that matter. Only when you imagine it is scary. When it actually happens, when you are going through it, when you are wise, when you can hold on to that Paramatma and walk the path, it is not that scary at all. Let us say, for an example, Shuma, even you are paralyzed. We say, "Ayo, what will happen to me when I am paralyzed? I will become dependent on everybody. Ayo, you suffer now." Anyway, if the prarabdha karma is there, you cannot help. That is one thing. Actually, when you are paralyzed also, actually, it is not that scary. Something will happen. God will help in some other way. Everything will fall in place. Maybe you may recover also. See? Anything. So therefore, when we imagine only, it is so fearsome. When you actually go through it, holding on to the Lord, He will take care somehow. So, malai போல வந்ததெல்லாம் கூட பனி போல போயிடுமாங்க பகவானுடைய அருள்னால. You will think it is like mountainous. It's very difficult to cross over. But it becomes nothing. Like என்ன சொல்லுவாங்க பனி அது போல உருகிடும். Snow. Snow means it nothing. Dew drop. Nothing. அது மாதிரி போயிடுமாங்க. So therefore, there is no fear in this Mahatma. He just lives without any fear. That is why he is compared with ghost. Pishachavat. Why? He roams everywhere without any fear. பிசாச்சு மாதிரி எல்லா இடத்துலையும் திரியிறான். சுடுகாட்டில் கூட தெரியுமா நைட் 9-12 மணிக்கு. பிசாச்சவத். நமக்கு நம்ம ரூம்லேயே பயமாக இருக்குது. ஏன்னா we are so scared even in our own room. இருட்டை கண்டாலே பயமாக இருக்குது. Even to go to the toilet, we want some company. Hey, Varya, please. Biomark. See what, when the fear happens, it is very real. Though I may so say all those things, when fear happens, it is very real. See, when you are in a very different place, in a different room or different house, and all alone, and if you watch this movie, whatever, ghost movie, already your mind is working, and then you may hear some sound. Your mind may create sound also. Mind can create anything, na? And உங்களுடைய பொல்லாத நேரம் அன்னைக்கு ஒரு நாய் வேற ஊழிடும். Now I tell you my own experience. When we had joined the ashram as a very young brahmachari, just few months only, everybody is given a separate room. Thank God, not to share. But it's very small room, But that is good, individual room. And one night, what happened? I heard a sound like a baby crying. I was so scared because the ashram, there is no baby at all anywhere. And just behind my window, a baby was crying. I got so scared. என்னடா அது எங்கேயோ வந்து மாற்றிட்டோமா, என்னாச்சு, இங்கே ஏதாவது கொலைகள் நடந்துச்சா, somebody is crying here. And next day I reported, I just discussed with the senior somebody. He said, forget about it, it's a cat. Cat can make so many different, sound. Very scary sometimes. Like the owl also can make different sounds. You can talk anything, Atma, the self, I am the Brahman and all. When actually you are scared, you are really terribly scared. How to handle fear? J. Krishnamurti says, just live and see what is fear. Be with the fear. Don't try to escape. Don't chant mantra. Don't do anything. Watch, what is this fear? Just give attention to fear. அந்த உணர்வோடு அப்படியே இருங்கிறார். Try to see what it is. See, it's a different thing, you know. Whatever the emotion, see what it is. You know what happens? By seeing that, you take a standpoint of a sakshi, observer. As an observer, you are the self which is beyond fear. See, you identify with the ahankari. Ayyo, enakku enna aamo theliye. Ayyo. So, as from the ahankari, what you do now? You become sakshi. What is this fear? I will just observe. Whatever may happen, that is all fine. I am going to just see what is this unarvu in me, fear in me. What is the passion and lust in me? What is this anger in me? Like that jealousy in me. If you just be with that and watch it thoroughly, kanna edukama adle paathuttrunkiraar அவர். But what happens? You become different and the emotions become different, and when you stand apart, you are a sakshi, means you are not influenced and there is no fear. You are not influenced by the fear. That's what happens. But that is not easy. But you should try that. See, kashtam try pannadu onnume seiya mudiyadhu. Kashtamo nashtamo, you have to try it. So see the pain, but very difficult. Pain matram romba difficult. See the pain, see the fear. Watch and observe everything. By watching and observing, you take the standpoint of an observer. Sakshi. Sakshi means one with the self. That bird which is sitting on the upper branch. From the bird which is sitting on the lower branch, you become the bird which is sitting on the upper branch. Then what happens? Paramatma you are, not troubled by anything. See, it is not cock and bull story. It is all true. You try, experiment and find out whether it is true or not. Na anyosti panta bhavabandha muktehe. There is no other path for the liberation from this bondage. Vina swa tattva avagamam mumukshoho. Without realizing one's own self. For the mumukshu, one who is longing for liberation, there is no other path. Na anya panta, na anya asti panta. There is no other path. Panta means path. For this liberation, bhava bandha mukte, to be liberated from the bondages of this samsara. Vina, without abiding in the self. Swa tattva avagamam means what? Without knowing oneself, without abiding in oneself. There is no other path. What happened? Bhagavan watched. What is this body? What is this fear of death? He watched. What is this fear of death? And he became aloof, apart, stood apart from whatever emotions. And standing apart is the real self, he realized. That is my real glory. That is my real self. Standing apart. இது எப்படி ஒரு கிளிக் ஆயிடுச்சு. That is some grace or some we don't know what. But we know, na balahinena labhyaha. Nayam atma na balahinena labhyaha. If you are a covered, very scared about everything, then how can you observe impartially? See, I am not saying that if you watch dispassionately, the pain will go. Pain may persist, but it may not influence you that much. Fear may be there, but it will not affect you that much. So ultimately, that is what we want now. We should be unaffected. Whatever happens outside or inside. So that happens when you take this standpoint. Okay, we shall conclude. We shall stop here and continue in the tomorrow morning class. You are all smart, awake. So today evening we will start the Atma Bodham. It is going to be very intense, I tell you, because Vivekachudamani also is becoming intense And Atma Bodham also is intense. And then evening also Annapurna Stotram. That is also intense. So you will be in the intensive care unit soon. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Today it's 11:50 already, so nobody needs